Welcome to another episode of The Crowded Booth. I'm Bryce Coon alongside Trey Harris here, the former Missouri Tiger and now current Atlanta Brave, playing with the Rome Braves here in Rome, Georgia. It's nice to have you on the show today, man.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
So we're going to get started here talking a little bit about, we're here at Jefferson's in Rome, Georgia, and Trey's here with the Rome Braves. It's been kind of a whirlwind your past 3 months, getting drafted, now playing professional baseball. But talk about where you started. You're playing in Atlanta. What was it like growing up, and did you ever dream of one day where you are now?
From probably ninth grade when baseball got serious, I really decided to this is what I want to do. Went to McEachern High School, decided not to play football, and a lot of people were a little upset about that because at McEachern football is like everything. But in 9th, 10th grade, I kind of made a decision that I'm going to try to go all in on this and see what happens. 9th grade, I didn't make the East Cobb Astro #1 team, and it kind of woke me up to work harder and do a little bit more, and it seemed like a switch kind of flipped for me. And when I turned 16 and the recruiting process started for me, it seemed to all fall in place like it should. It was a lot of fun playing baseball growing up. This has always been the dream to make it. Even from the very beginning in kindergarten, I didn't want to be a fireman or a police officer. I wanted to play baseball forever. My dad's a football guy. My mom loved softball, and I was a big mama's boy, so baseball was always the thing. My dad slowly migrated into loving baseball just as much as I have, but it's been a fun journey, and it just seems to happen so fast, but it's been really fun.
And one thing a lot of people who are not from the state of Georgia know, high school baseball in Georgia is very competitive. And obviously at a big school like you were, talk about the challenges and the talent that you're facing week in and week out playing high school baseball in Georgia.
Well, I would just say my senior year or my junior year, there was a guy going to Bandy, I was going to Mizzou, Jared was going to Kennesaw State, we had guys going to Georgia Tech, and these are all just in our 6-team region. So just to kind of give you an idea how good the baseball was. And at the time, it was just normal. We're used to always playing a guy that's committed to a big school. We're used to playing guys that are going to top JUCOs, things like that. But then you got to I went to Mizzou, and I realized wow, I was a part of a special thing down here where baseball is really important. I mean, to get 100 people to go to a high school baseball game is a pretty big deal. And I know my senior year, we had a couple games where we got a lot of people to come.
Yeah, high school baseball is one of the best things to watch, one of the most purest forms of the game. So you talk about recruiting and how exciting playing on obviously East Cobb, one of the most well-known teams nationally in travel ball. What was it like for you to get recruited and kind of realize that this dream was kind of starting to take place? What made you want to go to Missouri as well?
First off, to get recruited was man, I'm really getting recruited. It was eye-opening because my first visit was Clemson. And for me, you watch them on TV winning, baseball games left and right. Everyone knew about Clemson. Everyone knew about the purple and orange. So, for me, it was a big deal. I go to my first football game. It's against Virginia Tech, and I'm on the field, and they're running past me, and it's just wow, this is crazy. This is crazy. At the time, I couldn't even drive yet, and I'm already trying to figure out where I'm going to college. So it was a weird experience. And then probably a week before I was going to commit to Clemson, Mizzou, my East Cobb coach told me about Mizzou. He said I should reach out and see what they were offering, see what's going on out there. So I went out there on a visit, and I loved it. I loved every bit of it. Felt like home. But they didn't love me as much as I loved them. And I didn't get an offer the very first time I went there. They made me go back to a camp in December and was like, yo, if you can prove to us that you're a good player, we'll offer you. And I worked my butt off for 3 or 4 months straight, waking up at 6 a.m. in the morning, drive 40 minutes to just go hit and get better. And ended up getting the offer I wanted, and I committed. I would have committed a week after that, but I wanted to do it in person. So the recruiting coordinator at the time came down and saw me play, and I walked up right to him and said, I want to be a Tiger. And from there, it's been a lot of fun. I've had a lot of great opportunities coming from being at Mizzou. I've learned a lot about myself. Being far from home. The weather's terrible out there. Not a fan of that at all. Anyone from Mizzou can't really like the weather, so it's nice. It's been a great experience so far.
So you stay playing in Atlanta, kind of grew up there, and then you move almost halfway across the country to go play in Missouri. You get to play some SEC games, back here, playing Georgia, Auburn, other teams around the area. But what was it like making that transition as a 18-year-old having to move all the way home, and now you're a student athlete?
Well, it all happened fast. I graduated in May, and then probably around June 30th, I was at Mizzou. And for me, it was different because, I don't know, you don't realize how comfortable you are around the people that you're around. You know, like, I've known all my friends from either 8th grade and above, some of my best friends, or some even 5th grade, you know? And for me, it was learning everyone and how they, you know, everything's just different in different places. I had to learn how people operate, how people, you know, do they say yes ma'am, no ma'am? You know, in Missouri it was like crazy that I said yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, no sir. So like just adjusting to the little things and like not being able to just go home and like when I'm having tough days, like I had to deal with it. You know, I had to figure it out on my own and be able to be a stronger person than I was when I left because I was 11 hours from home. This isn't a trip back to the house for a little bit. You know, it was something that I had to deal with right then and there, and I grew up so much from that first year being away from home.
So you start your first year at Missouri playing behind a pretty good team. I mean, Missouri's a good team. SEC baseball has definitely seen a rise since you were in college, especially this past season. What do you feel like is one of the biggest things you gained from your time in Missouri that's helped you become the player you are now to be able to get drafted?
I think just overcoming adversity. My sophomore year, I was told to quit baseball because my coach at the time didn't think I was going to be good enough to make it anymore. And at that point, you just have to make a decision like, are you going to, you know, fall into the pattern that they think you're going to be, or you're going to try to do something different. That year, I hit 210 with a 1 home run, you know, so at some point I had to make a decision like, if this is really for me, I have to go ahead and be all in. And at that point, I had to understand what to do. So adversity was a big thing for me. This past year, I went through some things where I wasn't allowed to be around the baseball team for 2 months. You know, just trying to learn myself and how to be a leader and how to do the things the right way. And I think, you know, learning from the adversity, understanding what to do on a day-to-day basis to be a good person on and off the field, that's kind of what I learned up there. You know, I was challenged every day to be better, and it was up to me to decide if I was going to, you know, combat that the entire time or actually try to grow and be a better person. So I learned how to just handle adversity on the day-to-day. And baseball was the fun part, and it seemed to be the easy part. But the off the field and learning how to be just a good person was something that I had to adjust to.
Once again, here we're at Jefferson's in Rome, Georgia with Trey Harris. And Trey, the next question I ask you is, you know, you get into your senior season at Missouri, probably some of the best years you've had at Missouri. I mean, your senior season, you definitely kind of took off and got noticed by scouts. What was it like once you kind of started getting the feeling of, you know, I want to get drafted, I want to play at the next level, and having to play in front of those scouts? What kind of pressure is a collegiate player under in those circumstances?
I think junior year I definitely had a lot more pressure because my sophomore year was so bad, so I felt like I had to prove every time I went up to hit, you know, what can I do to, you know, let them forget about sophomore year. Honestly, senior year was the most fun I've had playing baseball because I just decided that like whatever happens, God's got it. You know, like no man, no person will ever take what God has planned for me. So if I just let Him worry about it and I just have fun playing the game, do my part. You know, do my half, work hard in the cages. You know, be a good person. You know, play the game the right way. God will take care of the rest of it. So I just let Him have it, and it was just the most fun I've had playing baseball. Yeah, there were hiccups. There were times where I was worried I wasn't doing enough, but I had the best year playing baseball this past year, honestly, because I let go of everything. Junior year was very pressure-filled. I wanted to get drafted junior year and be done with, you know, college classes for a little bit, but like I was saying, God's plan is His plan, and you don't really know what it is all the time. You just got to ride out with it. When I didn't get drafted junior year, you know, I had a week of feeling sorry for myself, and then everyone in my life challenged me like, yo, go do it. Like, go do whatever you got to do to get ready for senior year, because at the end of the day, get drafted or not, your senior year, you'll remember that forever. So I just tried to make it memorable, like tried to have a lot of fun, and it worked out like it would.
Now, you talk about the first-year player draft in June, which happened just a couple months ago. A lot of people familiar with the NFL draft. 7 rounds. There's a lot of guys that go undrafted, but the Major League Baseball draft is completely different. A lot more rounds. Talk about the stress. I've talked with some guys that went through the process of the NFL draft, and you know they get calls about, oh, you're going to be picked here, and that call never comes. For you personally, how did that work out in the first year player draft, and what was the stresses like during that time in June?
It was crazy. It was a lot going on. If you asked me on the last day of the season, I was supposed to be a day 2 guy, which is rounds 3 through 10. And everyone I knew around me thought the same thing. And if you look it up, I went in the 32nd round, so it shows you how different things can change. You just gotta wait. I mean, it's a waiting game. You feel like you're good enough. You see guys come off the board that you're better than. Like, just in the competitive spirit, you just have to be real. Like, I play better than this guy. I know I'm better. So it's just a matter of someone falling in love with you and your character and giving you a chance. So for me, the last day when I woke up and the draft started and we're at round 12 and I'm like, all right, cool, it'll happen soon. I'm getting texts like, hey Trey, you're coming off the board soon. Like, you'll be there, you'll be there. And then it trickled to round 20, and then before I knew it, I had a sweatshirt on, just trying to walk around the house, stay busy. Then around 25 my hoodie's up. I'm sitting in the room watching a movie, just trying to stay busy. And then around 30, I was like, yo, let's go out to eat. Let's go do something.
Yeah.
And then my dad was like, no, just wait a little bit. Like, you'll just stay here. We'll go get some food, and then whatever happens, happens. And probably 5 minutes after he walked out of the door, I got drafted, and it just seemed to be I always had this dream that I would cry and go hug my mom, and like I was so happy that I had no emotion. Like inside, I was just jumping so all over the place that I had no emotion. I was just sitting there smiling like, Dad, I got drafted. Like I'm playing, and then the next day I signed at SunTrust Park. I'm in Atlanta Brave, like 20 minutes from the house, and the next day I'm down in Orlando, Florida, playing baseball. So it happened fast. It's a crazy experience, and everyone who says like don't worry about it, it'll happen, they never went through it. Like you worry about every single pick. You're scrolling, refreshing everything, trying to figure out what's going on, listening to every pick because that's your dream. Like to think about like it takes 30 seconds for your dream to be right there, and to be picked and know you have a chance, that's nerve-wracking. Like anyone who's worked hard enough for something knows that when it's so close, that's the worst part. Like you could train for a big event. The week before that event is always the worst part because you're just so excited. You're like, this is what I've been, working for.
You talked about SunTrust Park being 20 minutes away. What does it mean to you to be drafted by the hometown team, the Atlanta Braves?
It's meant the world. It's been a blessing for me. It seems like going far away, I had to figure out myself, and now I'm close to home, and I'm able to handle, the type of love that I'm getting from back home. I mean, I've had best friends come to games. I've been able to drive home and take my best friends out to eat, and be able to pay for their breakfast for just dealing with me for the past 8 years. They deserve all the recognition. Like I always tell people, like my grandma was here last week. I said, Grandma, you can tell everyone you want to about it. You can gloat, be cocky, do all that for me, because you deserve it just as much as I do. Because it's got to be nerve-wracking. For me playing, it's not really that I'm not nervous a lot. I just play baseball, and whatever happens, happens. But for my family and my friends, like that has to be nerve-wracking to sit through a TV and hope for the best, and you just really never know. So it's been a blessing for me, and I've been so lucky to be close to home. I get to, even tomorrow, I'm going home and hanging out with my dog and doing stuff like that, and it's just been a blessing so far.
And obviously, the Braves have the luxury of having all the teams really close, around. The farthest team you got away is Mississippi, maybe down in Florida, which is the next level, high A, and then you continue to go, it's at Gwinnett. That's right in your backyard.
Oh, yeah.
So as you have now made the jump in the past 2 months, you have this whirlwind of now it's the draft. You get done with the SEC tournament, conference play, all this stuff, and you're a college guy taking classes. Now you're done. It's baseball is the sole focus. What is one of the biggest differences between, and we talked about this right before the show, having those D1 facilities, having these nice facilities, and coming to Rome, which great facilities, and the Braves are a great organization. I'm sure you're aware of that, but what is it like just to jump in different talent-wise?
I think if anything, it's more how you go about your business at this level. It's honestly on you. In college, there's a lot of stuff that you have to do. You have to, do study hall. You have to go to class every day. You have to hit extra in the cages just to show the coaches you're doing something. You have to do a lot of stuff that just has nothing to do with baseball. And right now you get to focus on baseball. You can do your own specific routine and no one's going to tell you what you're doing is wrong or go against the methods that they're teaching. You know, it's about playing baseball. It's about playing the game hard. In the baseball world, we like to call it eyewash. There's no eyewash. It's strictly like, are you performing on the field for us right now? And when you're performing on the field and you're being a good person, then everything works out like it should. The talent level, every day on a team, I look at other people and see their at-bats and see how their swing works, and you're just like, wow, this guy hits the ball really, really hard. And this guy, you know, plays the game the right way. This guy has range in the outfield, you know, so just kind of adjusting, but then also realizing that like there's people also doing that to you. Like you have to understand that if you're at this level, you can play too. You can't get so caught up in like what round this guy was in, who this guy is, what his numbers are. You just kind of have to worry about you and worry about winning. If you worry about winning, the rest will work out like it should. But the talent level is, I think at this level, it's a little bit better than the SEC top to bottom. I think the SEC has great players. You know, there's first rounders every weekend, but 1 through 9, you're playing with guys who excelled in college. Like they were really good. They were the 3-hole hitters. Or you're playing with Latin guys who've been playing baseball since they were 15 at this level, and you know they've been 3 years, so they understand how to, you know, everything works. So if you were to put the 9 that we have right now in a lineup against a college team with metal bats in our hand, we'd have a lot of fun. So I just think it's just the talent level and the consistency within the level is really high. Every day you have to face a guy throwing 95, 96, and my first weekend here it was like, oh my God, how am I ever going to get a hit? And then I faced it the other day and it seemed like it all slowed down for me. It seemed to really level out and it's been exciting.
As we wrap up here, ask you a couple of softball questions. Not too hard right here. College football starts this weekend. Obviously, you're a Mizzou guy. How do you feel about Mizzou? We talked a little bit about it before, but how do you feel about Mizzou this year and how they'll do?
My prediction is 9-3. I think Alabama and Georgia are teams that are just really good right now. They're playing at a high level. They have 2 great coaches. But I think Mizzou can go 9-3. I expect a hiccup because everyone has a hiccup with football. It's just such a long season. But we have a great quarterback. Our entire offensive line is back. We got all our weapons on the outside except Jamon. The defense is returning. Got great linebackers there. I am biased because they're all really good friends of mine. Like, I'm a big fan of all of them, and I hope they excel. But I think they're going to have a good year. I think they're going to shock people, and then after a while, people will jump on the bandwagon.
There you go. Yeah.
I'm calling it right now. I'm calling 9-3. We go to a really nice bowl, hopefully a Chick-fil-A bowl, so I can come and watch.
Not too far away.
Exactly,
there you go.
Exactly. And you know, I'm just really excited to see those guys be able to put it together because I know it's not a lack of effort. You know, just sometimes playing in the SEC, you just run across some buzzsaws. Like playing Alabama and Tuscaloosa is going to be tough. Like, do I think they're going to play terrible? No, I just think that Alabama and Tuscaloosa for anyone is a tough place to play. And I think, you know, those are my guys, and I'm really excited to see them play.
And as the Rome Braves now, a lot of people know, won the first half, and how single A works. The first half winner is going to play the second half winner. And, you know, it's your last homestand of the season, barring that last home playoff game. How do you feel about this team heading into playoffs?
I'm excited. I think we just put it together. I think a lot of guys don't really know each other yet, and we're still trying to figure it out. Some guys are coming off their cold time, and some guys are getting on their hot time. So if we all just kind of come together at the right time and pick each other up, we'll be fine. I mean, it's definitely, our pitching always competes. Our pitching always has a chance. If we can hit, we'll make a run like we want to. We just have to, you know, play good baseball. I think at any level, if you play clean baseball, you always have a chance, you know. If you make the other team earn every run they get, you'll have a chance. So I'm just really excited to just keep playing. It seems like just yesterday they're like, oh, we got 20 games left, and now we're down to 5 regular season, I guess, and a couple playoff games. You know, you just never know. So just trying to keep playing hard, keep doing my thing.
Well, definitely. Thanks for coming on the show today. We want to thank everyone for watching. That's Missouri fans. I'm sure your family, you know, you're a family guy, and so you're nice to be close to home here, about an hour and a half away.
Oh, for sure. My mom, dad get to come to a lot of games. A lot of friends get to come to a lot of games. And the way the MLB TV and the MLB app, my friends at school get to keep up. So I got a great group of people. You know, I'm in a group text with some of my best friends, and I just enjoy being in it every day. You know, I think being away from school, you're grateful for the people that are in your life that mean the world to you. The 4 guys in my group text, is going to be hard to pick a best man from that group. You know, so like for me, I'm just enjoying like being able to, you know, see them be proud of me, because they, like I said, like they've had to deal with all the ups and downs, like behind the scenes, and they get to see this come to fruition for them. So it's nice.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on the show once again. Trey Harris here with the Rome Braves, former Mizzou alum, and from the Atlanta area. Thanks for coming on, and good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.